people were talking about the low life thing on the social media forums a lot around that time.
Yeah,
you get me? So a lot of people were better. Like, I don't know him personally, never knew him personally, never did any business with him personally. But sometimes you say things to make people uneasy, and no one even saw the poster of him in the video.
Yeah.
No one listened. So no one said anything.
Poster. There is a wanted poster in there, man. It's quite funny.
Welcome back to Shotgun New York's podcast. It's your boy hosting solo today. Today we have not just one, not two, but three special guests. I'm honoured to introduce UK hip-hop legends Joker Starr, King Kashmere, and Jazz T, aka GAWD STATUS. How are you guys doing?
All good.
Wicked. All right.
Man.
Yeah, man.
As I was just saying, I mean, like, these guys each warrant a separate episode each because of their history and contribution to hip hop in this country. If you don't know them, then where the fuck have you been? But
exactly.
So you guys, I was chatting to Cash a minute ago. How are you guys holding it down during lockdown? How's everyone keeping?
All right, cool. Yeah. Well, I'm doing all right. I mean, as you can see, I've got turntables here, so as long as I've got a setup, I'm good. Just doing cuts for people, bit of production. Been selling some records on Discogs and boot stuff. You know what I mean? So just staying busy, even though I can't really go out.
Yeah, man, I hear that. I'm guessing, like, as kind of creatives anyway and producers, that not much has changed in terms of, besides the kind of interacting with people and kind of external factors. I'm guessing that not much has changed. You can still make music.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's sick.
Yeah, man. That's what I mean. Yeah, exactly. That's what one thing I can say is been good about all of this madness is just being able to just have a legit excuse to stay at home and work on music.
Yeah, that's it, man. Yeah. So have you guys been, like, listening to any music as well, or just kind of creating at the moment? Because I know as creative people, it must be so many kind of external influences when you're making things, and we'll get into your project and stuff like that and talk about it a bit more. But what have you guys been listening to lately?
I mean, I've just been listening to flipping radio. I've been out most of the time working and that, man. So I haven't really had much of a reset like these guys have had in terms of, like, being able to have time to flipping digest some new music and stuff like that. But the few days that I did have off, I ordered a whole load of equipment. You get me? So I've been listening to myself more time than anything else.
And why not? I don't know, man. It's hard to say because we're obviously working on the GAWD STATUS thing right now. Mm-hmm. So basically, the second one. So basically, I've just been listening to a lot of, like, flipping, like, psych rock and, like, stuff like that, like a lot of different prog, just all that kind of stuff, man. Do you know what I mean? Like Manfred Mann and shit like that. You know what I mean?
That's some dope shit, though.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, me personally, because I've been doing radio shows and stuff, I'm just listening to old music, our own music. I get sent a lot of new stuff. A lot of it I'm not that into, but some of it I am. I mean, so much stuff. It's difficult to say what, but, like, I do listen to a lot of dope UK stuff, and like Cash, I've been listening through a lot of breaks and stuff, a lot of sample records, library stuff. You know what I mean?
So I guess with like the whole kind of aesthetic of Strange You and bringing into kind of GAWD STATUS, injecting, like, Joker's personality into it to create something, like, unique. What you just said about listening to a lot of kind of prog and psychedelia, because you described the record as kind of a hybrid of, like, hip hop, soul and psychedelia. And that's super apparent on the record, man. What other kind? So Manfred Mann, have you been listening to any like King Crimson, anything like that? Because I fucking rate those guys.
Yeah, for sure. I was listening to a lot of King Crimson this morning, actually, man, as well, man. What else? There's another band I've been checking out quite a lot called Synthesis. Don't know if you heard it.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah, it's like Argentinian band, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And what else have I been checking out? Scope. Do you know about Scope?
No, man.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I think they got like two albums? First two albums are pretty sick, so I recommend checking them out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Have you ever seen that film Searching for Sugar Man?
No.
That came out. So it's about this guy Rodriguez, and he's South African, yeah, and he's basically a superstar over there. He's like as big as the Beatles. He's like seminal, but he just never broke kind of the mainstream. He never broke the States. It's bizarre. Yeah. And the documentary is just all about kind of finding this guy and what he's all about, because he was just a massive enigma.
Sick.
But yeah, it's well worth. His music is fucking sick as well.
What was it called again?
His name's Rodriguez.
Rodriguez, yeah. Let me just write that down.
Searching for Sugar Man.
Yeah, Searching for Sugar Man's documentary. It's really dope. I think it like won a bunch of awards or whatever. I don't really know too much about that, but yeah, it's his music's really, really good, really easy to listen to. And it's kind of proggy, kind of psychedelic as well. But anyway, bit of a tangent there. But,
yeah, but you know what? That's pretty cool. I mean, like for me as well, I love like the prog that like, you know, the thing that interests me about prog, and stuff like that is that like throughout the course of one song, you know, and a song could be like 15 minutes long, you know what I'm saying? But like throughout there, you just don't know what twists and turns are going to happen. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, it could start off like, you know, fully rocking out, but then in the middle go into some like weird electronica or like, you know what I mean? Or even like just straight up jazz, like even in the middle. Do you know what I mean?
Oh man, there are some weird bands out there. Like
bro. I love
some cool shit, really.
Have you heard of Goblin, this like Italian band? Yeah, they're fucking they're levels, man. So back to GAWD STATUS, back to the music. So Joker and Cash, you guys met at Raiders of the Lost Archives launch party, is that right?
Absolutely.
And that kind of like set the wheels in motion. So what happened then?
You want to go?
And it's about a 10-year, 15-year delay in the start of it. Like, man, I can't even remember like the initial conversations we've had. But he expressed one time that he was a fan of my work. I expressed the same, that I was a fan of his work and that. And I came up with the name GAWD STATUS because I heard him say it in one of his lyrics. I can't remember for the life of me what song it was now. But I can remember messaging him saying, yeah, this is gonna be the name of it. And then maybe 3 years ago, like he expressed an interest in wanting to produce more. You know what I mean? Like, and said he didn't really want to do too much rapping anymore. I said, cool, send me a batch of stuff and I'll see what I can come up with, you know, and that's generally how it started. And then once it was a product, we decided to involve Jazz T on the live side, who was even involved in the recording of it. Like he set up the recording session anyway. So it kind of made sense that like we brought him along in the journey as well, just for the live feel and just because he's a good geezer, you know what I mean? Three geezers.
Shout out to DJ Miracle as well, man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's grip, Do you know what I mean?
Nice one, because you had the launch party for the album at Rare Kind Records, right?
Yeah.
I saw some footage of it. I didn't get to, obviously it's a bit far from me, but yeah, it looked live. Is that kind of intimate environment like preferable for you guys to perform in?
I mean, personally, I prefer it. You know what I mean? Because you can get more of a vibe in the room. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's obviously like, I don't know. It's kind of like different principles, isn't it? Doing bigger shows and smaller shows. It's like, I don't know. I feel like you can go more in on the smaller shows, man. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things working in your favor. Like, you know, I feel like obviously depending on the venue, but like a lot of the times I find smaller venues, the sound to be better as well. Do you know what I mean? And the sound to be hitting a lot harder as well. Do you know what I mean? And when you got all of those elements working in your favor, don't know, man, it just comes out better in my personal opinion. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I think with the kind of the lyrical content throughout the album as well, because it is so it's like you just dive straight down a rabbit hole and it's very like immersive and there's a lot to listen to. You know what I mean? There's a lot going on in it, and I feel that in an intimate venue like that, you really kind of you can hear the lyrics. It's kind of you actually kind of get to immerse yourself in it.
Best place for it, man. Best place
exactly,
for it.
Man.
Yeah. I mean, over that weekend, I think we did like 2 launch parties back to back. And it was just interesting to see because it hadn't even been out as a whole project for that long, but people were in the crowd knowing the lyrics and stuff like that. They knew the lyric. They knew the lyrics better than I knew the lyrics. At that point in time. But
man.
like for like intimate shows, I prefer both, to be honest. Like I like a nice balance, man. Like, you know, I feel like I'm able to get my energy across regardless of what the size the stage is, man. So like I want to do a few more big stage things, man, because I think like with the visuals that hopefully we can bring in one day, like the big stage would be perfect for it, man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, with the lighting, the colors, projection, you know what I mean, smoke coming out of the ground, sparklers, you know what I mean, dancers. Let's go, we go full MC Hammer, man. You know what I mean?
Now, obviously, also, you know, portal open to the nether realm as well in the back, just as decoration.
Oh, come on.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's the backstage, really, isn't it?
Of course, exactly. That's so accurate, man. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, just doing shows in general, as long as the sound's right, you know what I mean, and the crowd are there, and they know, you know, they understand what we're doing, then it's amazing, isn't it? That's what it's all about.
You know, speaking of the big shows, man, like flipping, I tell you what's always fun, man. Them high focus shows, man. They're always quite fun. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Crowd is always like just super hungry to see something. You know what I mean? To see something that they like or whatever, something cool. Yeah. And they just got the energy, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the time for me, it's the energy, man. The exchange of energy is like quite important for me, anyway. You know?
Well, I kind of need that to perform. I kind of need that. You know, I need to get that back, otherwise it's all a bit dry.
It needs to be reciprocated.
Yeah.
I feel like the energy in the UK is definitely like up there. Like I know I've got friends in some. Like I've got a mate in Finland, and I went over there, and you go to a hip hop show over there, and the crowd's just like non-responsive. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, do you know how fucking lucky you are to be here, like seeing these people perform? And But I think it's just a cultural thing, though. Do you know what I mean? It's just their kind of in their nature. But it's I can imagine as an artist, there's nothing better than to have that kind of energy reciprocated and people, you know, spitting your bars and just vibing out to your music. But
tell you what, though, man, it wasn't always like that, though. Do you know what I mean? I gotta say, like right now is a good time in UK hip hop. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Because you had, you know, a lot of the work that people have done, you know, leading up to this time where we have things like High Focus and Blah and all this kind of stuff. But before that, it wasn't so friendly. Do you know what I'm saying? It wasn't so friendly, man. Like there used to be a thing where it's like I don't know exactly what the psychology of it is, but like, you know, I guess people from over here were like harder on British acts than they were on anything else. Do you know what I mean? I remember I don't know, I don't know if you was there, Joker, if you went to see that, yeah. But do you remember, I think it was like what, 96? Remember the Busta Rhymes concert at the Forum?
Yeah. So where the turntables got robbed.
Yeah, the full on riot when when all that shit
I wasn't there, but I heard about it.
Bro, let me tell you, okay. I mean, apart from that, all that madness that happened, I remember the support acts were flipping Mr. 45 and Scientists of Sound, who all had dope shit out. But like flipping, I'll never forget it. Like these guys got introduced, and when they came on stage, before these guys even rapped, everyone was like, "Boo!" Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of hostile, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, like it wasn't like that for every single rapper. Do you know what I mean? But like,
but they used to book the wrong people as support, so because those people going to the Busta Rhymes things just wanted to see American stuff, innit?
Yeah, exactly.
But the beauty of it now is that like the people that come to the shows, the UK stuff, they're not all artists. Because like there was an interim period where everyone there just thought they were a rapper or a DJ. You know what I mean? And that's why they were so hard on us. But now it's like 90% of the crowd is fans. They're not all trying to do it. You know what I mean? So
I hear that, man.
That helps.
That's awesome. Yeah.
You touched upon GAWD Status, the name of it, because of a bar that you heard. And what is the kind of significance of GAWD Status? Because it's you obviously released the GAWD album as well last year, Joker. So there are kind of synergies between the two albums. What is the significance of the name?
I guess it's just a level that I hold my material and my expectations to. It might be a standard that supersedes my ability, but I don't believe that is even possible if you kind of have trained your mind and methods to attain this level that you attain this level that is impossible to reach, you only gonna get better. You get me? So even if you'll hear the first album, but if you hear how the second album is turning out, it's just kind of grown, and I don't even know how to explain how it's kind of just the first album, like we didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was. So this album now, I know what it is, and I know how to put the energy into different things that I want to get across. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like the GAWD, it's just a level. Like what it stands for is gifted at written diction. I did that something when I was young. I made the acronym up now. Wow. So yeah, it's just a level of writing that I hold myself to, and a standard of performance that I hold myself to.
I really rate that, man.
High. Set the goals high, man.
I wish I could articulate as well as you when describing myself in this podcast. You know what I mean? But
it's not planned. Like, you know, sometimes I feel like, there's a roadblock. I just got to keep going. The answer's going to come eventually. Just keep talking till you get the answer.
That was crystal, man. I got it. That was inspiring. But so Firmamentum dropped last year, and that translates to that which strengthens or supports, right? So did you come up with the title of the album before you started writing the tracks, or was that something that you had a completed project and you packaged it together and thought, right, we need a name for it?
It was probably in the middle of writing it. Well, after I'd written it, and then after Kashmere kind of done a demo, liked it, changed the beats, sent another demo, liked it, switched the beats up again, you know, because initially it didn't sound anything like the final version. It was not as psychedelic as it turned out to be. It was never even meant to really sound like that. But I guess like what Kashmere seems to be good at is like he kind of got into the pocket of what the content was. You know what I mean? So a lot like me, he didn't have an idea of what it was going to be. We just had the name. I don't think I had sent him any lyrics, or he hadn't heard nothing. So we just went to the studio session, and as I'm rapping it, it's the first time that they're hearing it. So like,
it's amazing.
Yeah, the name kind of came like within his kind of process of post-production. I can't remember the exact conversation, but we were talking about something that I said in one of the lyrics and that. Go on, Jazz, sorry.
I was just saying, it was amazing hearing the progression of the different beats, you know what I mean? From what we recorded to what I did scratches on to what actually eventually came out. It was amazing, man.
I mean, that's just how I work, man. Basically,
I like it though. It's real. Yeah, it just makes it enjoyable for us though, you know. Hearing all the different stages.
Word. I mean, like for me, like I always look up to a lot of the great producers, like flipping, you know, like your Quincy Joneses and all this. And like when you read up on these guys' process, or you see these guys' process, you know, it's a developmental thing, man. Do you know what I mean? Like what you start with is not what you end up with. Like, do you know what I mean? And like it's just like the whole process of developing the sound of things, man, is like what excites me, man. It's like I love that. It's fun as hell to me, man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like the production on this thing is crazy, man. But I heard that you want to you kind of want to focus your energy on production solely now, as opposed to rapping.
Yeah.
Is this?
Yeah, go on.
No. I was just going to ask, is there any particular reason for that?
You know what? I think like you gotta consider this, yeah. Like I've been writing raps since I was probably about 10 years old. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm 40, right? Do you know what I mean? So it's really a thing of like I've done it for so long. I've pretty much, you know, I like in terms of like creative ideas, I've pretty much done anything that I was interested in. Do you know what I mean? And I've always been more into production. I tell you what, like I always wanted to be a DJ. I didn't even want to be a rapper. Do you know what I mean?
Word.
I always wanted to be a DJ because I've been more into the sound of things. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But like
We can
starting to
arrange
rap,
that.
yeah, work, yeah. Like rapping is a lot more cheaper than buying turntables. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Fully agree with that, brother.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, so I mean, it's just, you know, the rapping thing. I mean, to be honest, like it just happened. Like I remember getting the first Tribe Called Quest album, People's Instinctive Travels, listening to that, just being totally into that album, like fully, and then like I don't know, I just started rapping off the back of that. Do you know what I mean? And then just over the years, it just turned into a thing. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've always been more into the beats thing. I mean, I don't think I'll ever fully like lock off rapping, man. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it'd be more like an alchemist thing, man. You do, you know, main thing is like production, but every once in a while, just like drop something, like drop a verse here and there. You know what I mean? Like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's definitely turned into a secondary thing for me now, man. Yeah, for sure.
No, I mean, I guess it means that you can focus all your energy on making something, you know, amazing rather than having to juggle two crafts. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not saying that you can't do one and not the other, but I think it keeps your kind of energy and your mind focused on one thing. I hear that, man.
For sure, and it's just a lot
You
more.
know, but you know what? Kashmere doesn't realize that he's one of the masters of this. He don't realize it. Like he questions himself too much. Like he don't realize, like he's
modest, man.
The top level.
Yeah, you don't really
it's
get
like,
much
you know,
better.
don't forget all that modest shit.
It's like rapping completed it, mate.
Come on, guys, stop it, guys, stop it.
But
no.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But yeah, I appreciate that. You know what I mean. But yeah, do you know? I just, like I say, it comes down to even just like fun. I just find this more fun, like, do you know what I mean? So
it's whatever makes you happy, ultimately.
Yeah, for sure.
In life, just do what makes you happy, man. Exactly.
Yeah, man. Instead of agonizing over bars and shit.
Keep making albums like this, honestly.
Yeah.
But speaking of bars, though, in Firmamentum, you cover like a multitude of topics like false idols, slavery, artificial intelligence, pedo priests, all kinds of crazy stuff. And I have to ask, like, what was the writing process behind this project?
Sometimes I would speak about what I was researching. So a lot of the Afro-centric, Kemetic references was stuff that I've been into for years. I guess around that time, I was looking at Samaria as well.
Mm-hmm.
Around that time as well, I was having a lot of arguments with my friends about flipping KRS-One's response to
Zulu Nation,
Africa Bambaataa and the Zulu Nation and stuff like that. And you know, I just kind of whipped it up like this. So like, you know, a lot of the songs don't really have a following theme. You get me?
But it's still cohesive, though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because it has to be digestible. Mm-hmm. So it's written in a way where it's not preaching. If you want to find out about certain stuff, I just whip it up there and I say, "Hey, there you go," and then it's down to you to figure it out. Yeah. Sometimes like the fun in it is for you to hear kind of certain things. It's like, you know, like I think. Because most of the time, like rappers write from a perspective which is kind of like blinkered, like their life, you know. It's hard to write in a way which is not necessarily your perspective 100% of the time.
I hear that, man. I think it seemed educated. I felt like I was educated listening to it. But that track you referred to when you said about kind of KRS, a heavy metal track, and you got the video for that as well.
Yeah.
So you rap like KRS-One, I'm done with those guys, like the UK did with Brain Tax and Low Life.
Yeah.
So it's quite, it's kind of
you know, man. Yeah. So you got to tie in because people were talking about the low life thing on the social media forums a lot around that time.
Yeah,
you
man.
get me? So a lot of people were better. Like, I don't know him personally, never knew him personally, never did any business with him personally. But sometimes you say things to make people uneasy, and no one even saw the poster of him in the video.
Yeah.
No one listened. So
There
no
is
one
a
said
wanted
anything.
poster. There is a wanted poster in there, man. It's quite funny.
Yeah, man. So it was that music video was done by Block Collective. How kind of important do you think these days, as kind of independent artists, that visual media is when releasing music?
Very important. First of all, shout out to Ghost as well, who did the main work on that video as well. But yeah, I mean, I'd say it's very important, man. I mean, like, most people consume their music on things like YouTube anyway. Do you know what I mean? So, like, it's very important to have a visual representation, and particularly, you know, a live action video, because, like, you know, you can always do things like lyric videos and all that, and that's all good. I'm not knocking that at all. But I've noticed a difference in sort of, I mean, you know, it's not about that, but like, I've noticed the difference in viewing numbers from live action videos to other ones. People just like to they like to have that visual aspect. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like to see that. Do you know what I mean? So I'd say in this day and age, it's very, very important, and to also get it right as well. Like, it's, you know, quite important.
Yeah, man. I think there's been an influx in kind of animated videos at the moment as well, due to kind of lockdown and stuff.
Yeah.
Is that something that you guys are? Because I know there are kind of elements of kind of, you know, effects and animation within your videos, but is that something you've considered?
I mean, I've always dabbled in the animated videos here and there. You get me? So who knows? Maybe down the line, maybe, like, I have no problems with it. I think whilst doing our kind of we call them visual experiments. I think I'm not sure about him. Like, I think that we've kind of geared towards creative videos where that aren't focused on us just pointing at the screen rapping. Absolutely. Even though, like, the video that we did where we are on the screen rapping would have probably been our most viewed video if we didn't have some problems with the audio and stuff like that. But like, out of the 3 videos, like, I am kind of more geared towards just having some mad kind of story being told without, like, your typical kind of pointing at the camera kind of stuff, you know what I mean? But then I understand also that fans want to also kind of be a part of a journey and feel like they can identify with the people that are speaking about these things, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I know that there has to be like a little balance in terms of, like, we got to figure out a way to be more accessible to fans, whether that's through merch, whether that's through maybe podcasting or something, you know what I mean, which makes us a bit more accessible to our fan base.
I hear what you're saying, man. I think it's what you just said is a good point, right? The music that you make, especially within this album and the lyrics, kind of lend itself to more kind of abstract, like, visuals and that kind of thing, just because of the kind of the content and the subject matter. You're touching on so many different things that I think it would be, you know, just kind of dive down a psychedelic rabbit hole, kind of Rick and Morty style.
Yeah, for real.
Do you know what I mean? I think that would be really, really sick.
I mean, that's definitely, like, what you described there is like resonates with me as well, because for me, like, music is different things for different people, but for me personally, it's always been a form of escapism. Do you know what I mean? Like, I like to, like, when I listen to an album, I like to disappear into that world kind of thing. Like, do you know what I mean? And so, like, things like that, like the style of the music, you know, the style of the visuals, like, you know, that's why that kind of resonates with me a lot, because, you know, I want the person to not be in the room anymore when they're watching or listening to the music. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and the last video where we brought the Silver Man on the front of the album to life, like, man, I thought that was I thought it was hilarious. But, the way Matey shot it and how he was just standing on the beach there and doing some mad thing, shaking his dreads.
That was sick, man. It's really well like curated what you've done so far. I think like the branding, like the name, just like the whole aesthetic of the album as a package just works really, really well. And what Cash was saying a moment ago about how people digest media and music these days, it's almost kind of a singles generation. Like people just add tracks to playlists and stuff, and it's people don't have as much kind of attention span for like full length projects. So I think in order to create something, I think Firmamentum comes in at just under half an hour. So you know you can listen to it and then you can re-listen to it, and it's just it works really, really well. Was that ever something that you considered in terms of like the length of each track and the project as a whole, knowing that it would be kind of, you know, people's perceptions and how people would digest it?
Yeah, man. Because how I am as an elder and understanding the trends of how people kind of listen to music, and it's nothing like it was when we took time. So before we purchased something, because it was all about parting with your money that you didn't have, my experience was I go into HMV, I see an album, go to the listening pod, put my headphones on, listen to it. While I'm listening to it, I open up the artwork, look at the photos that have been taken, look at the colors, look at what the back of the CD looks like, flip to the back of the case, look who produced that, look where it was mastered, look where it was mixed, open it up, read who is on the track, what their real names are, where it was recorded, you know what I mean? And after that experience, you've spent an hour, like he said, escaping your day-to-day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're just in your moment. And then, you know, you might come back, buy the album a week later, a day later. You have that option, you know what I mean? Whereas now, it's just a kind of case of like you said, it's playlist, it's flicking. It's not necessarily a place where people want to kind of take time to digest something. So I've always so now, like, I kind of keep my stuff very formulated. So I don't really write more than 16s or 2 verses of 16s. Might have an intro, chorus. But then if I do, so I might switch it up. I might do like a 32 long verse with a chorus at the end, or just keeping it very condensed and short. You know what I mean? Because people's focus goes left and right. But also, what helps sell kind of like the what we're talking about on each record is like the kind of vocal intros that Cash uses, you know what I mean, to subtly explain what the tune could be about, you know what I mean? So, yeah, man, it's a different generation, different time, mate. Time.
Once again, man, you just articulated that so well. I was just like, that's incredible. But I think the counter to that, I guess, is there is a market for like physical media still, especially in kind of hip hop. And obviously, you put out the album on vinyl, and there's always, you know, albeit kind of a small one within the UK hip hop community, there's still a demand for physical media. You know, there's always people who like having that tangible product to hold, and to your point, read through back to back and look at the credits, look at who was involved and look at the artwork, myself included, you know what I mean? So I think it's how you obviously have the faith in your product to get it pressed and put it out there. And that's hip hop, right? How do you ever kind of struggle with that in terms of in terms of the risk and putting it out there and how it's received, or do you just think, you know what, we're going to do it and just see what happens?
I mean, it's the long way round of doing things now. So, the process is a long process, the waiting time, yada, 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 the distribution time. And then, the distributors, it goes to the places that sell it, or you get an SOR, or it goes online, you know what I mean? And then once it's sold, it has to go all the way back around. Here. It's very slow. The royalties coming in, trickling in, and then it's there. And then it kind of doesn't match up like what you've spent to how much money is coming back in. And then it just kind of trickles back in, and you're looking at the flipping royalty checks. They're coming in. The money's getting shorter. It's getting shorter. It's getting closer to that zero. But where the digital market is instant. You get me?
Yeah.
So like what we've seen with our kind of fan base love the physicals.
Mm-hmm.
We don't necessarily have that connection yet with the digital market. You know what I mean? I guess the younger audience. Like what I've seen, like our audience are a bit younger than us and a bit older than us. You know what I mean? It's kind of that bracket. They have money to spend. You know what I mean? But the money that's being spent isn't directly coming to us. It's being spun in different industries. So I guess we got to figure out a way where we can kind of get a piece of that pie. You know what I mean? In terms of like it's out by us and by us. Maybe we need to look into doing some merch now.
Yeah.
Some T-shirts. You know what I mean? Doing some kind of short, maybe EP work, you know what I mean, or doing some remixes of our own stuff, you know what I mean? Like maybe we should talk after this podcast.
The instrumentals, man.
Jazz does a lot of vinyl as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean the thing with Boot is we've got a wicked customer base, so I pretty much cover the production costs and any costs really just on Bandcamp, and then I've got distribution from Kudos, who are a wicked distributor, worldwide distribution. So that allows me to get it in the shops all over the world. So for us, like on Boot, the vinyl does make money. It doesn't make like thousands of pounds. It makes a few £100, which goes back into the label, pay the artists, whatever. But digital, you have to shift so much digital units to actually make any money. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think for me, I've always made my money as an artist from the shows. You know what I mean?
100%.
You know, but yeah, if we put like a 45 out on Boot or something, you know what I mean, we'd definitely all make a little bit of money out of it. You know what I mean? It's there.
Yeah. Same with when we did me and Zygote did LP 4080 as well. You know, it was the physical side of things was is really what did the work, man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think also it can be specific to different kinds of artists, man. Do you know what I mean? It's like for Strange You is definitely like like people consume that in a physical realm, basically, more than anything else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you know what I mean, it might not be the same for someone else. You know what I mean?
Well, certain labels might not be able to shift vinyl in the same way as like we do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying any names, but certain projects like I would have definitely have sold like 300 units, no problem. And there would have been money in the bank. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Word.
But, so going on to, obviously you guys have been involved in the UK hip hop scene for a very, very long time, and you've seen it like develop, evolve, change over the years. What do you think's good about UK hip hop now, and what do you think's bad about it, if anything?
I don't know, man. I only started rapping yesterday, bro. And even saying that, I don't rap anymore. So are we done here? Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
One good thing about UK hip hop now is that there's kids that are in their sort of mid-20s that have never known a UK without hip hop. You know what I mean? From this country, and they've never lived without it being there. Our generation, my generation, there was like 15 years before it even existed. You know what I mean? So So now it's just part of the country, you know what I mean? There's no like, oh yeah, it's an American thing or it's this or that, you know what I mean? It is part of the fabric of the country. Yeah. So it's undeniable now, you know what I mean? No one can say shit. It is here. You know what I mean? That's the way I see it.
I like one bit I do like is like, you know, it's evolved into some sections of it is very British, you know what I mean? Like it only exists here. And then even the newer bits that they've taken from maybe Chicago or Southern America, it's distinctly British, you know what I mean? Maybe one thing that I don't like is, you know, back in the day they had referees who were the kind of the DJs on radio stations, you know what I mean, who were kind of respected. Not all of them were good, but there was some level of quality control.
Yeah.
Also,
not all music is good.
Like before the internet, you mean? Like,
I
hear that, man. Yeah. I guess it's a gift and a curse, in it. It's a gift and a curse, the internet, I think. Like, obviously, it's great that people can get more exposure, but then you've got like an oversaturation at the same time. You know, not the diplomatic way of putting it, I guess. There's a lot of shit out there as well, you know.
No, yeah. but one thing I'd say, like the only thing I'd say, I mean, I'm quite proud of what a lot of people are doing, man. Do you know what I mean? Because I remember the super quiet times, man. You know what I mean? But like flipping, one thing that I'd say we're missing, like from the scene right now, and it's not really anyone's fault, but it's like there was a time where we had, you know, things like Hip Hop Connection, you know, this and that other publication, at the same time as having, you know, various record shops that represented what we do and everything like that. Like, you know, you had the original Deal Real, you know what I mean? You
had the big record, the big nights like Scratch.
Exactly, all of that kind of stuff. Like that was all happening at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, in the real world.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're missing all that. I personally miss, you know, making that sort of like pilgrimage to the, you know, West End and like starting that Deal Real, not the Carnaby Street joint, the real one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Real. And then like walking around the corner, you know what I mean, to Mr. Bongos, you know what I mean? And like all of that, man, that whole thing, man, I miss that. And you know, like checking out the new HHC that just dropped or whatever, you know, the excitement of that. Yo, I mean, all that stuff is vital to any type of music scene, and it's just a little bit of a shame that we don't have it in exactly the same way as we used to have it. But hey, man, I think people are doing the best of what we got right now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I think there are still kind of pockets of that. You know, there are still people who are trying to, you know, do as much as they can to inject that into the scene.
Exactly.
Like more to them. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I hear what you're saying, man. I think it's a lot of it lives on the internet now, which is kind of, you know, sad in a way, considering where it came from originally.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's just how the world is now, you know. Now we have this technology. There's no reverting back. You know, it's always going to exist, and people are always going to be lazy. Is probably the wrong words. Complacent. I'm not sure, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's kind of
It's all a lot of people know, though. It's all people know these days. You know, they don't know how it was for us back then. You know.
Yeah.
But like, it's not to say
shows and stuff.
Yeah, but it's not to say that isn't going to come around again, because everything comes around.
Yeah, man. You know what I mean?
So when it comes to like the term, like Parky was quite vocal about this when he was on the show. The UK hip hop. Do you see yourself? Do you think that term's too kind of limiting? Where it's just hip hop music. Like when I listen to your record, I just think this is a really sick hip hop record. It's kind of inconsequential that it is. Obviously, the UK accents come in. You're like, okay, yeah, they're UK guys making hip hop. Do you think the term UK hip hop it has too many restrictions?
I think maybe in some people's minds it does. For me personally, I've never really had a problem with that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm from the UK and I make hip hop, so boy, if you want to call it that, then that's cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Do you know what I mean?
But get perspective in it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like the thing is, my thing is like, you know, people do try and group in certain, you know, artists and say, oh, that's a UK hip hop thing. My thing is, I'm not worried about that because really what it comes down to is when you actually listen to the record. Do you know what I mean? And like, how do you feel when you listen to the record? That's it. Conversation over. Do you know what I mean? Like all that other stuff is like, it's cool. You know what I mean? It's discussion points and everything. But yeah, I ain't never really had a problem with it personally, man. What about you lot?
I always used to, I kind of look at what I make as hip hop, you know what I mean? But it is from the UK. So what I don't like is when people have this preconceived image of UK hip hop being some like kid in his bedroom, you know.
Yeah,
stuff, you know what I mean?
exactly.
That's what pisses me off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But other than that, man, you know, like, it's hip hop from the UK. It is what it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're the ones that define what we do, you know what I mean? So like, if someone wants to talk about it, just ask us, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's a thing of like where people who don't like it kind of see it as like the limited content some artists choose to talk about over and over and over and over again. Well, their beats sound the same tempo. It's kind of, some people may see it as just like it's a disrespect. Like you're saying it's not hip hop because you might be referring to it as it's a limited style of hip hop in a sense. Like it's, you know what I mean? Not very skillful.
Like derived from, I guess initially the boom bap sound of kind of New York and stuff. But it's since then, and like Cash touched upon it a moment ago, it's evolved, and there are so many different offshoots of hip hop in this country now. So many different sounds. If you just look at, say, like, I mean, High Focus being the obvious one as a label, some of the artists on that label at the moment on their roster are doing some really kind of obscure, like off-kilter music, you know, and it still falls under hip hop, but it's
definitely
not something that you would, and to Joker's point, associate with that, you know, basic standard sounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's incredible the way it's evolved in this country.
I mean, I think
it's because people don't really see, some MCs don't really see themselves as artists, innit? So it's like, it goes back to where I said, like, they only speak in very blinkered terms, you know what I mean? They're uncomfortable. Like, they even talking for instance, like testing yourself, speaking in first person, speaking in second person, speaking in third person. You might be able to tell stories. You might be able to talk about someone else's experience, or rap in a sense where you have a beginning, middle, and an end. You know what I mean? Yeah, test yourself, I guess. You know what I mean? Let me not get on into a rant.
No, go for it, man. That's what we want.
I'll stop there.
I think also as well, like in terms of like sound wise, beat wise, and stuff, like, you know, I feel like boom bap, like hip hop, has got, you know, some, like a lot of people might see it as a limited thing. I see it as quite wide ranging, actually, man. Do you know what I mean? There's so many things. Think about the amount of groups that you could put under that category that have come out from, you know, I don't know, from the 90s onwards, that all sound drastically different to each other. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even like for example, Strange You. Like, some people think that that's a departure from boom bap hip hop. To me, not at all. Do you know what I mean? The only difference is, like, we're still doing the same thing. We're still digging. We're still, you know, chopping up breaks. Still doing all that. The only difference is maybe the sample source. Do you know what I mean? Like, you might sample that new wave record, you know, as opposed to that jazz loop. But at the same time, you know, we're not against that jazz loop either, because it's all you know what I mean? It's all part of the bigger picture, man. Do you know what I mean? So like, I feel like, you know, the only people that feel limited by boom bap stuff are the people that are limiting themselves, man, basically.
That's a good answer, man. That's a good answer. No. And thinking about it that way, it's even as a sound and a style, and evolving from it, and kind of like, to your point, you've just taken it and made it more complex, you know, because I guess when it first came out in New York, it was the kids using what they had, the mean, you know, that basically the technology they had at the time, and they created what they could.
Exactly.
So now it's like utilizing technology now and taking that style and then expanding on it.
Exactly.
Sick, man. I mean, why make something that people don't Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like people love boom bap. That's hip.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that is hip hop, but to me it is. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of.
Man.
So yeah. So
completely is, man. I mean, people are definitely still interested. If you look at a lot of people's careers, man, like in modern times, like now times that that jumped off. Like they're always the jump off thing has always been like some boom bap shit. Look at Mac Miller, for example. Do you know what I mean? All of his first stuff was all straight boom bap shit.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what got everyone hype about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then from there, he'd move on to do different stuff. Look at Joey Badass, you know what I mean? Like all these kind of people start off like that because that's where the interest is. And you got to think to yourself, if people that are getting that hype over that sound, then, you know what I mean? Then there's something in that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I hear that. So, going on to kind of live shows and stuff, individually, you've supported like legends over the years, like MOP, Five Dog, and others. Cash, I remember we chatted briefly over a live feed about Necro, and you said you had a story about him. So I've got to call you out on that now. And
that's all good.
I'll hold you to that.
Basically, me and Necro got into a gunfight. But basically what happened was, so I think, I don't remember what year it was, man. It had to have been maybe 2008, maybe. Yeah, maybe around then. And like, basically, Necro was on tour. I think it might have been a world tour even, man. And anyway, so when he came to the UK, when he came to London, he was playing at what's it called? The Astoria? Is that place that next to Tottenham Court Road Station? The Astoria?
Yeah, Astoria.
Yeah.
Charing Cross opposite.
So, yeah, exactly. So he was playing there. And now at that time, sort of like I was doing a lot of stuff with Y&R and stuff. And we was all toying with the idea of going out on the road as like this thing called like Y&R All Stars, which is basically, Jest, myself, I think Sir Smurf Little was there. I think Double Edge was there, was part of that. Maybe Jaeger as well, I want to say, was part of all of that. Like just a bunch of us basically, right? So anyway, so he's playing at the Astoria. And he's to promote the show and everything and promote his releases and that was coming out around that same time. He went to get a sort of like cover CD feature on HHC, because remember in Hip Hop Connection they used to have the cover CDs.
Yeah, man.
So obviously the CD is mainly psychological stuff, and then but he wanted someone from like London, from the scene, I guess, to be on there as well. Somehow I got picked. Fuck knows how that shit happened, but somehow I get picked. Yeah, so I do the tune, and we all thought it'd be funny at the end of the tune to sort of like reference this interview that Necro had with a radio guy called Mr. Montana. Yeah, I don't know if anyone knows about that infamous interview. Yeah, but basically there's this cat called Mr. Montana, real good guy, like, wicked show and everything like that. But he had this interview that kind of went a bit south with Necro, basically. And during that interview, like, Necro was just on full take the piss mode, you know what I mean? And then, like, I think he was like, he's talking about, can you hear this Turkish music in the background? Dude's trying to ask him serious questions, and he's talking about the music playing over the speakers in the restaurant. And you know, I personally, I found that shit fucking hilarious, you know what I mean? But like, obviously, at that
makes
moment,
it memorable, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But at that moment, Mr. Montana was not like, he wasn't really feeling like it was.
Yeah. He wasn't entertaining it at all.
Yeah, it wasn't that comical to him at that time. And but I was thinking the whole time, but it's Necro. Do you know what I mean? Would you? It's like asking the Beastie Boys to give you a serious interview. Do you know what I'm saying? So during the whole thing, there was all these kind of back and forths and that. And like, I think at one point, Mr. Montana was saying something like, "Oh yeah, I'm from the UK and I've been representing your music." And like Necro's all like, "I don't give a fuck. You're a UK dick." You know what I mean? UK dick and all this kind of shit. Like, you know what I mean? Because I just, because I think both of them weren't feeling the interview at that point. So it's just like, all gloves are off. Basically, right? So we all thought it'd be funny to reference that situation. Yeah. So I was like, I said something like, I know you love the way the UK spit, so shit, suck on my UK dick or something like that, yeah? obviously at the time,
Bars.
I just thought I was just referencing that shit. I didn't realize that it sounded like I was saying, yo, suck on my UK dick, Necro, you know what I mean? I didn't know that shit. I didn't really feel like that. So then like, we sent the tune off, right? And then like, literally like a few days later, I get like an email a message from Necro on MySpace. Do you know what I mean?
Oh shit, MySpace.
Shit, yeah, for sure. Yeah, MySpace, and he was like, basically something to the tune of, "Oh, you trying to diss me? You know, you trying to diss me, man? You know what I mean?" And then he was saying all the stuff about, yo, you know what I mean? I'm giving you this opportunity to rep and all this, and you're gonna come and diss me and shit. So anyway, we had this like little back and forth, and I was like, nah, I ain't even like that. Do you know what I mean? And then it wasn't even that crazy. It got squashed after that, real quick. But you know, that initial email it was pointed. You know what I'm saying? But you know, Necro's a cool guy, man. Do you know what I mean? Like since then, you know, I've spoken to him a few times since then. He's mad.
Man.
Do you know what I mean?
Still making music, man.
Was the tune on the CD in the end then?
Yeah.
Oh, sick, man.
Yeah, it's called UK Dick. Do you know what I mean?
I'll rate that, man. That's amazing.
It's out there. Look for it on YouTube, man. Do you know what I mean?
I haven't listened to Necro in a long time, to be fair. Probably since like the stuff he did with Cool G Rap. But I'm not really into his new stuff that much.
Oh yeah,
but,
I've heard much, man. You know
yeah.
My favorite
old stuff's so good though.
My favorite, old stuff. Yeah. Fuck with Ill Bill and all that stuff.
Oh
Necro's just a bit too like.
That tune from Necro. Have you heard "Bury You with Satan"? That tune is fucking sick. That tune is sick.
I've got this one here.
Necro.
You're dead, yeah?
Yeah. There's, you know, telling you, man. Bury you with Satan.
Why is there a tune called "Bury You with Satan"? Why?
It's Necro, bro. It's Necro.
Man? No, man.
It's horrorcore, man.
Yeah, man.
I can't say that I know his catalogue. I'll just put that out there. "Bury You with Satan." You know?
Yeah, man. It's sick. It's sick.
Of course, it's sick. He's talking about burying you with the devil.
Yeah.
The devil!
Total opposite to the GAWD.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, man. Oh,
Yeah.
fucking hell.
Yeah,
so obviously, like rock stages with a lot of people over the years. Is there any from each of you? What have been your highlights? Because obviously, I can imagine there's a fucking lot of them. But are there any kind of particular moments you remember, like this is crazy? Like, how is this happening?
Me, Jazz T and Parky have had loads, man. I would say probably when we opened for AZ, and our show was blatantly the headline of the night.
It was, man.
Close second with MOP as well. Second with MOP, but they had classics. They have universal classics, so they got us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the show was like, but the AZ one, like, I can remember going to a night at Jazz Cafe a little bit afterwards and a guy older than us came up to us and said, you know what, I've been coming to the gigs in London for years. That is the best show I've ever seen in London.
That's amazing, man.
Wicked. Yeah, I mean, for me, yeah, like with us, like Cash, that tour that we did with Lee and that.
Yeah.
For me, that was amazing.
Yeah, that was great.
And then when we did Outlook Festival with the Jess Band, so like about, I don't know, it must have been 15,000 people. That was crazy. And I did a tour with Souls of Mischief as well, and we did Essential Festival, and like I was DJing for them, and like there's about 5,000 people there. That was crazy.
Oh man.
You know what I mean? And then. Jokes, that show that we did in Exeter, me, you and Parky, that was unbelievable, man. You know, we just
that was all right.
And
also Cash, like when we did Cardiff like the other day, that was cool.
Yeah, that was good, man. Yeah, for sure. There's lots, man. There's lots of memory.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember any specific ones, man, but it's been so many over the flipping years, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, man. I can't even think. You know what I mean? I guess maybe the first High Focus show that I did sort of post putting out the LP 4080 was pretty flipping good, man. Just like the response, because usually like a lot of the times at my particular shows, do you know what I mean, it's a lot of like more like listening going on rather than going crazy, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was like one of the shows where you know what I mean, people were just showing that they were real happy, you know what I mean? So that was cool. Oh, actually, I'll tell you one in particular, not a crazy story or anything, but when we did the launch party for that album, it was basically, I think, I can't remember who else was on the bill, man, but it was us, and we just played like, it was like a intimate sort of thing. It was birthdays in Dalston and that, and like it just was a really good, you know, the show just went really flipping well, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I just remember like coming off there just feeling really good about it. You can't like beat the feeling when you know you've killed it. You know what I'm saying? Like when you actually know you've killed it. Man, it's a good feeling, man.
Was that man. Did I DJ like before you lot went on at that one?
I think so. Yeah, I think you were there. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
that was amazing, that show, man.
Yeah, man. I have a Swiss cheese memory, so I don't remember shit.
Oh man, yeah, more gigs and hot dinners probably. Do you know what I mean? So,
probably. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Joker, you toured with Parky and the Abstract Orchestra. How was that, man?
Yeah, man. Like those shows there. It's a different kind of feel, man, because you know, they're not necessarily kind of always hip hop fans. Some of them just come out for a good night to see an orchestra play. But like some of them are just either huge Dilla fans or huge MF Doom fans. So for us to like give them a little bit of their show's always excellent, man, because like I think they see like the guy Rob kind of sees us as like the final kind of bit of the cog that was missing, you know what I mean, to give some of the instrumentals a bit of life, you know what I mean? So yeah, like we're like the kind of the energy that was missing between what's happening on the stage to the fans, you know what I mean? So like them shows are always good.
So how did it work then with your bars? Did you spit your own bars, or were you spitting Doom and like
spit my own stuff, man. I'll never spit someone else's raps.
Yeah,
it's totally disrespectful.
Quite right, man.
I see some of them ones where they big up like Biggie Smalls or do Wu-Tang and do the verses. Like I just don't. Someone did ask me to do the Biggie Smalls one. I said cool, or a Wu-Tang one, or Dr. Dre one even. I said cool. And then they said, yeah, you have to learn these lyrics. I said, peace. How much you paying?
Because I guess there's like paying homage in your bars. You could always like drop a bar here and there, but like just reciting someone else's bars is a bit basic.
Yeah. It's a bit shit.
Yeah, man. So Cash, I see that Receptor Records is back as well.
Man.
Mr. Signback reached out to me. Boom Bap Lickle. Is that the name of the album?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So signs of things to come. Are you dropping some stuff as well?
Yeah, I mean, like there's gonna be like a whole. I mean, we've sort of got a bit of a different focus this time round. Do you know what I mean? Like this time round, it isn't really about you know, us as a crew, as artists, because all of those guys, we all grew up together. Do you know what I mean? As a crew, but this time around, it's more like looking towards the sort of like next generation of artists. You know what I mean? So like we're like this time we're approaching it more in the sense of like a production house. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, we'll bring forth projects. We're always on the lookout for like, you know, the younger cats. You know what I mean? And just try and do stuff. And like trying to bring through a sound system as well as part of our plans. And like, yeah, man, it just feels good, man. Because, you know, we're all doing it in a memory of our close brother that passed away a bunch of years ago and that. And it's just something that he would have loved to have seen us do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and actually Baron is who's quite instrumental in bringing it back, because even though it was all in our minds, none of us really thought to go back there again. You know what I mean? Yeah. But like he was like, actually, we can do this, and we can do this in a slightly different way. I mean, obviously, I probably will drop something on there. Do you know what I mean? But like I say, the focus isn't like us. It's not even focus isn't even Baron. But like, you know, we're just getting the ball rolling.
Like a platform. Yeah, exactly. I hear that, man. Exactly. So on that note then, so in terms of like artists that you guys are, is there anyone in particular like that you're noticing at the moment within UK hip hop, like any youngsters you think, oh, they're sick, or I want to see more from them?
Loads, man. Loads.
Any of note in particular?
Quite into those Compound guys, man. Do you know what I mean?
They're crazy, man.
Yeah, they're pretty sick, man. And who else, man? That young Verbs, man. That young Verbs. Yeah, he's done. You know, I've actually worked with him as well, man. Like, because I do production under the name Chuck Enzo as well, and like I got a tune called Tightrope on his part.
I know it, man. I've got the vinyl, man. I've got the vinyl. Like, Verbs has been here and Compound as well, man. They're good guys. Yeah. Verbs is sick. He's we often say this, man. Like, when you're talking to him, he's so laid back, and then when he raps, he just becomes like a different person.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy energy.
I still ain't had the pleasure of actually like meeting him. You know what I mean? Like, because obviously I do the work with Group Brazil, and you know, we've done it like that. But I haven't actually like spoken to the guy yet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. Do you know what I mean?
He's safe, man. Them and Slips are they just were signed to High Focus recently as well.
Yeah. Slips is another dope one, man. He's got it, man. He's got it, that guy, man, for sure. He's
sick, man.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, I've got a guy from my end called Astro Blacksmith. He's just smashing it at the moment. Like, it took a while for me to get totally sold on it, but like, yeah, he's dope, man. A wicked producer as well. I don't know if any of you heard of him, but
Astro Blacksmith, yeah.
Yeah, look out for him, though. I think I might have played you some of his stuff in the car.
I think you might have still. Yeah. Sick.
Yeah, him and who else, man? Yeah,
who else is there, man? There's a lot in it. It's a bit hard to like pin down. Like,
but it's all about like, you know, the future generation, isn't it? And it's good to see that there's still like cats doing it who are sick. Like, that album Verbs dropped with Slips, Lessons of Adolescence.
Yeah, man.
It's levels, man. I really rate that.
Definitely. Are you familiar with Any Way to God as well?
Yeah. Any Way to God, yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, he's on your album, isn't he?
Hell yeah. I mean, the way he came through for us on our album was crazy, because like, I think Joker already laid down his parts and stuff, and I was in my process of like making a million different versions of that one tune. But then like,
I'm glad you brought up this song. That's Amplified Science.
Yeah, for sure.
Beat switch, like the two beat switches on that.
Yeah, man. Because like the original. You know what? To be honest, I can't even remember what the original beat was, man. Do you know what I mean? That's how many versions that I went through. But like, but with him, he was like, we hit him up with the copy with Joker on it. I was thinking, all right, cool. Next week you might hit me up. Listen, bro, about fucking 3 hours, man. He hit me back with the whole thing. You know what I mean? Was it even 3 hours? I don't even know if it was even 3 hours. You know what I mean? He hit me back with things sounding all good, like he'd already mixed it or something, like, you know what I mean? I was like, how can you have done such a full thing in this short period of time?
Like, rappers take note, man. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
bro, like the other day, someone asked me to do a 16 bar. It took me it was Lee. Lee asked me to do a 16 bar. It took me about 2 weeks to come up with that, man. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, because I'm just not in that zone anymore right now.
Yeah, sometimes it take that long, though, man.
Yeah,
sometimes it take that long.
Yeah, not for Anyway, though. You know what I mean?
Sometimes it does for Anyway. I've seen him work.
Yeah?
I've seen him. Yeah, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man.
Crazy.
Like, he's one of them guys that will re-record, then re-record it, then re-record it. Yeah. So even on one of our things, I was like, you deleted the best version.
Yeah.
Don't ever do that again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, I put him in there. I put like the speed at which he came through. Yeah, I put that in the same category as Ramson BadBonez. Yeah, it was like years and years ago I think when I was working on the tunes that ended up on In the Hour of Chaos and Raiders of the Lost Archives. Basically, you know, I did a tune with Ramson. I've known Ramson BadBonez since he was like 14, 15 years old. Do you know what I mean? So it was cool to get him in the lab again at that point.
He was discovered by Task Force, wasn't he?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Listen, I think I met him around about the time that I started hanging out with Task Force as well. Do you know what I mean? And they was like, yo, there's this kid, he's fucking sick. He's mad young, but he's sick. And then we ended up doing the tune, which no one will ever hear, but it was basically me, Chester, Farms, and BadBonez just going back to back for about flipping 4 minutes. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, but no one's ever going to hear that because God knows where that shit is. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But like, so I mean, fast forward to when I was getting him to do the tune. Literally, like, I linked him in his ends, gave him the beat, which was an LG beat, and you know, we chopped it up for a while. It was cool. I went home. By the time I got off the train, I got a phone call. Yeah, I've done the verse already. I'm like, what? What?
Genius.
Like, are you crazy? Like, but yeah, you know, BadBonez is like, if people don't know, man, that guy is fucking beast, man. Shit.
I mean, he's a machine, mate.
Did you listen to Death Mask drop recently?
Of course.
Yeah. Crazy, man. It's the stuff he's rapping about on that record. Is just
yeah, man.
The truth.
that guy.
So much fucking truth on that record,
man. Yeah, man. That guy is someone that, like, you know, he just can't ever like run out of things to say or lyrics or anything like that. He's just too much of a monster with it, man. Honestly, man. And I don't even say things like that guy's a beast. Yo, he's a monster. But like, honestly, like with him, like the talent is out of control, man.
Yeah, man. We're trying to make a podcast happen. We were supposed to do it a little while ago, but it never happened. But I think his kind of concept records as well, and he creates like different personas for himself. It really allows him to, you know, kind of dive into different themes and rapping with different perspectives. Like you were saying earlier about, you know, people being blinkered when they're rapping. He's just broken down those boundaries. Do you know what I mean? By doing that. He's top 5 for me, man, in the UK. Easily.
He's gonna be on this next GAWD Status as well, man.
Yeah. Man, sick.
Yeah, saying that, I've got a record coming out with him.
Oh shit! Man, just giving out exclusives.
Yeah.
Shit.
Dark City. So after the lockdown's over with, we got this coming. It's got Maestro and Reveal on it as well, and Parks.
Oh, nice, man. I'm looking forward to that. So before we wrap up, guys, is there anything you want to plug? Anyone you want to shout out, or anything you want to talk about?
I just want to shout out my DJ crew, Steel Devils, big up Miracle, my bros, Boom and Bass Boys, like big up Zygote, you know what I mean? Just big ups really for me.
What about you, Joe?
One love to Parky as well.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, big up everyone.
like Joker wins an Oscar, yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? He goes up on stage, you know what I mean? Everyone's waiting for the lengthy speech, and he's just like, pick up everyone. Yeah, man. Now, big up, I want to give a shout out to Baron Steinbach, Baron Sinbach. He's going to kill me if I call him Baron Steinbach. But Baron Sinbach is going to be another guest on your show. Sick dude, like, grew up with that guy. Do you know what I mean? He's like, you know, I urge everyone to go check out his project. Flipping.
Is he going by Mr. Sinbach now? Or still Baron?
I think, it's probably Mr. Sinbach now. Yeah, I think so. And shout out Zygo. Trying to think, man. Fuck, I had it all here, and it's just.
See, that's why you should have been like me, man.
Exactly.
Big up everybody, man.
Big up all encompassing. You know what I mean? There you go, everyone.
Big up you, man.
DJ Random as well. I've got to shout out Random.
Yeah.
I'll do a proper one. Then. Big up Anywhere to God. Big up Michael Parkinson. Big up Nortz, who just released his video called Donovan yesterday. Also, big up Solaheen. He's the reason why I'm here. Big up man like Old Boy. I never give him enough props. He was the first guy to kind of have patience with me and show me a few bits and pieces. Shout out to James Yard. Rest in peace, Ty. You know what I mean? You know, our relationship wasn't the best at the time, but, you know, hopefully your family is good and you're resting peacefully. Also like to big up people holding themselves down in the lockdown. You know what I mean?
So let me shout out as well. I forgot. This is the main one I forgot. Shout out Group Brazil as well, man. You know what I mean? Shout out Moriarty.
Moriarty, man.
You know what I mean? Shout out Normodity. Shout out Loops Heckler, everyone. Don Leisure, everyone. You know what I mean? Check out the album Happiness, We're All in This Together. It's out now and all that. You know what I mean?
And I've forgotten, got to shout out, mate. the record store, Dance 2 Records and Kane FM, you know what I mean? The two.
You know, this is like an episode of Columbo, isn't it? One more thing.
That's me done.
Oh man, sick. But no, as I said, I could have done a whole episode with each one of you. And hopefully in the future, like after lockdown, we'll make that happen at some point. I mean, I could do a whole episode on Joker's battle rap career. Do you know what I mean? It's just you can go into so much of this stuff, and obviously like we get to get Strange You on with Dr. Zagoti as well, and Jazz T.
You know,
man,
he's gonna love the fact that you called him Dr. Zagoti, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what? Right? That's his name from now on.
That is his new name, man.
Dr. Zygote, I know, but just phonetically. But no, big up everyone. Thank you for taking the time to chat to me. You can find the podcast at Shotgun the Orcs, all digital platforms, socials, and all of that stuff. Guys, stay safe, keep well, and stay in touch. Big up.
Safe.